Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 6th day of December in the year 2021. Sure hope you enjoyed your Monday, no matter where it is you are in the country. A nice sort of mild day here before it gets cold again. It is December after all, but it's nice when you get these days like today. Now, as you do every Monday, you allow me into your homes so that I can discuss the current week's newspaper. But as many of you are probably already aware, and as you can tell from the front page of this week's edition of The Observer, there is a company called Aries of Franklin, Tennessee, that in its infinite wisdom has decided that it wants to open up a plant in South Kearney that would, in effect, burn human crap at 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit and turn it into a substance called biochar that construction workers can use to thicken concrete. Well, folks, it's happening again. We had another company that has no idea about Kearney, no idea about its history, no idea what we just went through 2 years ago with the Keegan landfill, and they're trying to literally and figuratively shit on us here in the town of Kearney. And having spoken with the mayor and various other people throughout the town, this is something that is vehemently objectionable and something that the mayor and the council are going to come out against very, very strongly. I've already been in touch with the likes of Christina Montague, Barbara Goldberg, Melanie Ryan, people who were instrumental during the Keegan landfill ordeal. And since this is coming up and something that we're going to have to deal with, I can assure you that people are already ready to fight this as strongly as is necessary to make sure it doesn't happen. If you don't know about it and didn't see, I have a video posted from Friday that you can take a look at. And you can also pick up this week's edition of The Observer to find out more about it. But I'm going to do something a little bit out of order today, and that is because we had to pull our editorial page this week, unfortunately. And I wrote a commentary about this on behalf of the newspaper and also the town of Kearney. And I'm just going to kind of read it to you since it won't be in print until next week. It's also available at theobserver.com right now. But this is something that you would call a preventive editorial. And it's to Aries of Franklin, Tennessee. Take note. No matter what you say, no matter what benefits there could be, no matter how many jobs you might create for this community, Kearney does not want you under any circumstances whatsoever. We say this not to be mean, but to be realistic. There's no way you could have done an iota of research about Kearney before now, because if you did, you would know that you should be stopped in your tracks. You would have learned that for decades upon decades we've been dumped upon, literally and figuratively. We have dealt with private companies and government agencies who just don't get it. You would know that just 2 years ago we fought against and beat the state to close down an extremely dangerous landfill. You would know we've had our share of industry that belongs anywhere but here. And you would also know that when our backs are against the proverbial wall, our people come out swinging, and they do not stop until they get what they deserve and what we deserve. And right now, just a few days before the first meeting of the NJ Department of Environmental Protection, where the agency is going to introduce us to you, we already know we don't want you. Many of us spent our lifetimes here dealing with garbage dumps, chemical plants masked with smells, and so much more. We do not want human crap being delivered to our town under any circumstances. So before this meeting, which, by the way, got about as little notice as possible when you consider that it's happening 1 week from today and is only going into this newspaper for Wednesday, let this message be clear on behalf of a town of 41,000 people. We don't want you here. We don't want your jobs. We do not want your crap at all. We want one thing and one thing only: for your company to pick someplace else to build this plant. If you don't believe us, get ready for the fight of a lifetime. If you think Newark gave you a hard time, you have not yet met the likes of Alberto Santos and Christina Montague and a host of other people who will fight you tooth and nail. But if you are ready to take us on, may we suggest an investment in Excedrin Migraine. So that was going to be this week's editorial. We'll have it next week, and it is online, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up that we have a big fight on our hands, folks. And just like we did with the Keegan landfill, it's going to require community effort, so get ready for it. We can't let them build here, and you'll see why when you read the story this week in The Observer and on theobserver.com. Moving to other parts of the paper, we have a story about a long-awaited bike trail and walk trail that's going to go along the Passaic River from about Laurel Avenue to the end of Ross Lane, and this has been in the works for about 2 decades, and it's finally coming to fruition, so you can read that from my buddy Ron Lear. There's a new program the state police is piloting in South Jersey where mental health professionals will ride along with troopers to calls where there is a mental health issue, things that are not necessarily within the purview of a state trooper. It's going to start in Cumberland County, and then if it's successful, they're going to move it to other parts of the state. But it starts down there, and it sounds like it could be a very, very beneficial program, especially when police officers, or troopers in this case, go to calls where they're not necessarily equipped to handle what they're going to be up against. You know, police officers become social workers, doctors, nurses, you name it. So let's see how this works. Hopefully it fares well. There is a new soccer pitch in Belleville, and it was built by Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health on behalf of the Township of Belleville. The mayor was there a couple of days ago for the groundbreaking. And, you know, I skipped over another front page story, which is on the bottom of page 1, and that is that Mayor Mike Melham will be seeking a second term as mayor of Belleville. I don't know how the heck I did that, but I guess that crap got me all worked up. So Mayor Mike is going to run again in May, and he will be running with running mates Naomi DePena, Councilwoman DePena, and Councilman Graziano. And there could be, I think they're going to make their own announcements about running very, very soon. This weekend and next weekend, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, which is being put on by the West Hudson Arts and Theater Company. It will be at the East Newark Recreation Center behind Tops Diner. And it includes, with it, 4 elected politicians from West Hudson. So I hope you'll check that out when you get a chance and go see the show Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend, and next weekend. Jim Haig has sports this week, including a preview of the Nutley and Lyndhurst boys basketball teams. So you can check that out. And he's also got an athlete of the week. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I want you to pick up the paper and find out who it is on your own. And, of course, we have Tim Wagner's Kearney Police Blotter this week on page number 6, which I skipped over as well. I try to take it in order of pages, but doesn't always work out that way. So don't forget the meeting with the NJDEP about the situation with this crap burning company is 1 week from tonight. And it is going to be, I believe it's 7 o'clock at the Scots American Club, 40 Patterson Street. With that in mind, next week we're going to do a little bit of a tweak. We won't have the news broadcast probably at 8 o'clock because what our intention is right now is to take this meeting, which is going to be placed on Zoom, and rebroadcast it to all of you so you don't have to have the login and the password from the NJDEP, or if you don't want to download Zoom or anything like that. But if you do want to go to the meeting, it is open to the public, and if not, look at this week's edition of The Observer to find out how you can ask a question virtually so that if you cannot make it, at least your voice can be heard. Because remember, we need to be as vocal and as loud as we can about this in opposition to Aries coming to our town. That'll do it for this edition of The Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you for logging on and joining me tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of what remains on this Monday evening, and we will be back, of course, if anything breaks during the course of the week. And if not, we will see you 1 week from tonight at 7 p.m. from the Scots American Club with the meeting for the NJDEP by the NJDEP about this company trying to make its way and weasel its way into Kearney. From the Observer Newsroom, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. We'll see you back here again very, very soon. Good night, everybody.